Let me be brutally honest with you. There's a moment in every student's life when they stop, stare at the ceiling, and whisper to themselves, "Tomorrow is the day everything changes." You know that moment, don't you? The one where you convince yourself that from tomorrow onward, you'll magically become unstoppable. You imagine waking up before sunrise, powering through textbooks like a genius, exercising with motivation you've never had, eating a perfect breakfast, and finally becoming that disciplined version of yourself you keep dreaming about. But then morning arrives, and suddenly you're wrestling with your alarm clock like it's your worst enemy. You snooze it once, then twice, then you grab your phone just for a second, and before you know it, an entire hour disappears into scrolling, laughing at memes, checking messages, and telling yourself you'll start in 5 minutes, except those 5 minutes turn into a whole wasted day. And then you feel disappointed again, wondering why it's so hard to behave the way you know you're capable of behaving. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just stuck in a loop that almost every student experiences, quietly believing they're the only one failing at routines. You're not alone. In fact, you're part of a much bigger story than you realize. Let me ask you something so honestly that you can't avoid the answer. How many dreams have you delayed simply because your daily routine never supported them? Seriously, think about it for a moment. How many classes went badly because you didn't revise regularly? How many mornings did you wake up exhausted because you slept at a stupid hour the night before? How many opportunities slipped right through your fingers because you kept saying, "I'll start tomorrow," even though tomorrow never came? How many times have you felt guilty at night, wishing you could rewind the day and start again? How many goals have you abandoned halfway, not because they were impossible, but because your lifestyle was completely misaligned with the person you wanted to become? And here's a deeper question. What would your life look like right now if you had simply followed an effective routine for the past 6 months? Would your grades be higher? Would your confidence be stronger? Would you feel more in control, more alive, more proud of yourself? You already know the answer. Deep inside, you've always known that your success doesn't depend on magical motivation or superhuman talent. It depends on your routine. The question is, are you ready to finally build one that actually works? Before you say yes, let's break something inside your mind, something that has been holding you back. Most students think routines are about waking up at 4 a.m., studying for 12 hours, cutting out fun from their lives, and turning themselves into robotic machines. That idea is not only wrong, it's dangerous. Because what happens when you try to follow such extreme routines? You burn out. You feel miserable. You crash after a few days. Then you feel like a failure for not keeping up with unrealistic expectations that no normal human being can follow. So today, I want you to forget everything you've ever heard about impossible study schedules, superhuman discipline, productivity hacks that only work for influencers, and guilt-based motivation that makes you feel worse instead of inspired. This is not one of those videos that tell you, wake up at 5 a.m. or you'll fail in life. I'm not here to turn you into someone who grinds every second of the day. I'm here to interrupt that outdated pattern that says you must torture yourself to be productive. Instead, I will show you how real students with imperfect lives, students who get tired, students who struggle, build routines that make them consistent, calm, and focused without forcing themselves into unrealistic systems. And once you understand how simple and natural this can be, you'll never see routines the same way again. By the time you finish this, I promise you one thing, you will walk away with a complete daily routine that is not only effective, but actually sustainable. A routine that gives you more energy instead of draining it. A routine that increases focus without making you feel overwhelmed. A routine that respects your mental health, your physical needs, and your personal life. And I'm not just promising you a list of activities like wake up early, study here, sleep there. I'm going to give you the psychology behind why these habits work, the exact strategies real students use to beat procrastination, and the simple but powerful mindset that transforms discipline from something you force into something that flows naturally. If you apply even half of what I'm about to share, you will notice dramatic changes within 30 days. More clarity, less stress, better grades, better sleep, and more confidence in your abilities. And trust me, once you experience what a balanced routine feels like, you'll never want to go back to the chaotic, stressful lifestyle you've been stuck in. So stay with me till the end, because what you're about to hear is not motivation, it's transformation. Let me tell you a story that might sound strangely familiar. Imagine a student named you. Yes, you, a version of you from a few months ago, stuck in the same cycle you're stuck in now. Every night you went to bed thinking, tomorrow I'll fix everything, but the next day you repeated the same habits that were slowly draining your potential. You woke up late, rushed through the day feeling behind, scrolled endlessly even though you felt guilty doing it. sat with your books, but couldn't focus, postponed important tasks, panicked at night, promised yourself improvement, and then repeated the cycle. It wasn't that you didn't want to improve. You wanted it more than anything. You just didn't know how to structure your time in a way that made success easy instead of painful. Then one day you realize something important. Smart students don't succeed because they're gifted or lucky. They succeed because they build systems that support them. They design their day intentionally. They protect their focus. They manage their energy. They create simple routines that move them forward consistently. And once that clicked, everything began to shift. You started waking up a bit earlier, not super early, just early enough to feel calm instead of frantic. You stopped checking your phone the moment you opened your eyes. You started doing light stretches in the morning, drinking water before anything else, and choosing a simple breakfast that fueled your mind instead of slowing it down. You studied your hardest subject when your brain was freshest, instead of pushing it to late evening when you were already mentally exhausted. In class, you listened actively, took notes in your own words, and asked small questions that made big differences. You ate balanced meals and stopped overeating at lunch because it made you sluggish. In the afternoon, you focused on practical tasks because you understood your concentration naturally dipped during that time. In the evening, you moved your body, walked, danced, played sports because you realized exercise wasn't punishment, it was freedom. Then you took time for hobbies, creativity, and relaxation instead of trying to study every second. And before sleeping, you planned your next day, unplugged from screens, and finally got proper rest. Day by day, your routine became your ally instead of your enemy. The lesson from that transformation is simple. Discipline isn't something you force, it's something you design. You don't need willpower every minute of the day. You need a routine that carries you even when motivation dies. And the framework is beautifully simple. Start your day with clarity and calm. Spend your mornings on deep work. Use your afternoons for hands-on practice. Move your body in the evening. Revise lightly at night. And end your day with a clean mental slate. Replace chaos with small rituals that signal your brain. It's time to focus. It's time to rest. It's time to study. It's time to reset. Active learning in class, intentional meals, purposeful breaks, strategic study sessions. These are the tools that smart students use to stay ahead without burning out. And here's the truth. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the important things consistently. Forget comparing yourself to people who claim they study 14 hours a day. They're either lying or suffering. Focus on sustainable progress. Do less, but do it better. Once you follow this framework, procrastination stops being a monster and becomes something you can control. Stress stops suffocating you. Your mind becomes clearer, your memory sharper, your energy more stable. This is how routines rewrite lives, from small habits that build over time until momentum becomes your natural state. And right now, I want you to imagine something powerful. Imagine waking up tomorrow and actually feeling proud of yourself. Imagine moving through your day without feeling overwhelmed or guilty. Imagine finishing your studies earlier than usual because your focus is stronger, your energy more steady. Imagine feeling lighter, happier, calmer, not because life became easier, but because you finally learned how to take control of it. Imagine looking at your textbooks and not feeling fear or stress, but confidence. Imagine walking into your exams knowing you prepared properly and consistently instead of cramming at the last minute. Imagine being the version of yourself you've always known you could be. This is not fantasy. This is what happens when your routine is aligned with your goals. When you give your mind the structure it's been craving. When you stop fighting yourself and finally start supporting yourself. Imagine someone looking at you a month from now and saying you've changed. Imagine proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you ever believed. That feeling, that surge of self-respect, that quiet pride, that new identity is what this journey is really about. Not just productivity, not just grades, but becoming someone who trusts themselves, someone who follows through, someone who rises. Now the choice is yours. You can close this and return to the same routine that has been holding you back for years, or you can take the first step toward the life you deserve. Start with one habit today, just one. Drink water in the morning, plan your next day, study your hardest subject earlier, or simply put your phone away before bed. One habit is enough to begin momentum. And if this spoke to you, if it made you think, reflect, or feel understood, then take a second to support what we're building here. Share this with someone who needs it. Leave a like, so more saint. Students can find this message. And if you want more guidance, more routines, more strategies that can transform your academic life and mindset, then make sure you subscribe. Because discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. And freedom begins today. with you choosing to transform your routine instead of waiting for tomorrow again.